Hi and welcome to this channel. In this video, we're going to talk about how to recognize your purpose. Now, as I shared my story before in previous videos, how God healed me from depression, on the journey of healing, He equipped me with tools to be able to deal with the low moments when they come, because they are bound to come at one point or the other. So for me, as I shared before, it wasn't an instant thing, it was a process. And through the process, I was being equipped with tools. I talked about journaling as one of the tools. I talked about recognizing or realizing that you have the ability to be able to silence the negative thoughts and voices when they come, and then healing your inner traumas and hurts so that they are not used against you. And then in this video, I'll talk about purpose. Purpose was also one of the tools, one of the other tools that God equipped me with as He was healing me. Now, when I was going through depression, when I was deep in it, I shared my experience of how I would literally, this voice, and it was the voice of God, took me out of depression. And one of the things that God would constantly say when the negative thoughts would come was, I have a plan for you. So one time I decided to ask, what's this plan? Because at some point I felt like it was annoying. So I did ask what the plan was, what the purpose, what's this purpose? And I remember that time I felt the need, and I felt an unction, I felt a leading to take my notebook, and I did go and journal. It's interesting that I journaled straight for like 3 hours. And in that process of journaling, that specific day was when God allowed me, or rather revealed, the purpose for my life, the purpose for which He has for my life. I went to journal, and I just remember going, like, I was journaling. And by the time I was looking up, it was late, like it was getting dark. So I was like, wow. And I learned what my purpose was, and how I learned what my purpose was is God asked me a question, and then He said to journal my response. And the question was, what do you want to see in the world? And I remember that question hitting me so hard, and I actually thought about it, and then I spoke it out, and then I wrote it down, and even developed like a purpose statement from it. So recognizing my purpose healed me from depression, because then you realize that, as I talked about it before in previous videos, your life is not your own. When I recognized my purpose, that was one of the tools that helped me to heal. And one of the questions you can ask is, if you want to recognize your purpose, is, what do you want to see in the world? And something interesting is that God would open my eyes, would reveal to me even different people's purposes. I remember 2 instances, and the first one was this lady. We were at an event, and this lady kept saying, I don't like this organization, I like things when they are organized. And she was so furious. She was like, I've left them to do what they want. And you're just listening to this conversation, and I can't remember if it was then, that time, at that particular time, or sometime later, when God revealed to me the purpose of that lady has to do with the purpose of her purpose. It has to do with like order and purpose. Since you're made in the image and likeness of God, our purpose is to reflect the different natures, characteristics, attributes of God. There are people who, exemplify the nature of God, that is diligence or compassion or things to do with justice. We know there's a verse that says that justice and righteousness are the foundation of God's throne. So as human beings, we are made in God's image, and therefore we exemplify or reflect different natures of God. And so for her, there's a nature of God where it says God is a God of order. And so for her, that's like the nature of God that she exemplifies. And you will see it even throughout her life. Probably if she were to look at it, she'll see it was always there. And therefore, that's why I don't say, I'm sure you've heard people say, go and find your purpose. I believe that your purpose was spoken to your spirit, because as human beings, we consist, our makeup as a human being is consisting of the spirit, the soul, and the body. And the spirit and your purpose was spoken into your spirit. This body was formed, of course, from the earth based on the first human beings. And then, because then we know that when someone dies, it goes back to earth. And then the spirit goes back to God who created it. So your purpose was spoken to your spirit. And that's why I believe God would say things like, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. Or God's eyes saw your unformed body. All the days ordained for you were written in God's book before one of them came to be. And then verses like, I knit you together. God knit us together in our mother's womb. So your spirit knows your purpose. So when your soul, which is your emotions, mind, and will, are brought to the recognition, and your body and soul are brought to the recognition of your purpose, your spirit already knows that, because your purpose was spoken to your spirit way before your body existed or came to the earth. So that's why purpose cannot be taught in school. We learn skills in school, we learn different things in school, but purpose was spoken to your spirit. And that's why purpose has always been with you. And that's why I talk about recognizing your purpose and not necessarily finding your purpose, because it's always been with you. It's the reason for your existence. There's another person also, I remember them just in conversation, and I remember God highlighting that's their purpose. They kept saying, I don't like just staying without doing anything. And I remember God saying, their purpose has to do with diligence. And we can look at many other people whose purposes, they were exemplifying different natures, characteristics of God. Remember, we are made in God's image and likeness.